Hello everybody and welcome once again to the end. We are still looking over the Angora cards. We're still going to discuss them and kind of give you what our thoughts are on them. So starting right off, we have Jewel Macaw, a 1-cost 1/1 Hunter Beast minion with the battle cry, add a random beast to your hand. Oh man, I missed you, Web Spinner. But unlike Web Spinner, it's not a death rattle, it's a battle cry, so it happens immediately, which means it's actually more effective. This Web Spinner was a really strong card for Beast Hunter, and Jewel Macaw is pretty much going to be doing the same thing. If you're not doing a pure Raptor blend, Jewel Macaw gives you what you need to just go off and have some fun with beasts, and because it's random, it doesn't necessarily have to be from your class, which makes this awesome. Because some of the stuff you can do, some of the things you can find, oh my word, the times you will have. I am really excited about this card. More so for a wild deck I am working on, and I'm so a lot of the stuff I saw in the stream that we've gone over. I'm so excited to play Hunter. I'm more excited to play Hunter than I've been to play any class for quite a while. And Jewel Macaw is pretty much one of the reasons why in my upcoming Wild deck. This is an incredible card. This is an amazing card, guys. Yeah, I think it's going to see play, especially in Beast Hunter.
Just crap and criminy, if anything. Like, not only just with Beast Hunter, the Marsh Queen quest. It's a 1-drop. And you get a random beast that could potentially spit you out another 1-drop. Of course, it could also spit you out a game finisher like King Crush, or just, you know, a piss poor beast like Weasel Tunneler. But I mean, hey, if anything, it'll help you at least for quest. But, like, this is another one of those just things that I point to and go, see? Hunter got it. Just a super shot. And now it's just going to be almost everywhere.
But that's okay. I mean, you were tired of Shaman anyway, right?
I'm not going to quit seeing Shaman. Elementals and Shaman are going to be a thing. And I won't get to those till later, but just from seeing everything from this set, they're going to be tier 1, and just, I'm calling it now. Just calling it dibs. Anyway, another discussion, another time. Moving on, Stonehill Defender. 3-cost, 1/4, taunt, battle cry, discover a taunt minion. Firstly, holy shit, all of the just tags you're putting with this. Taunt, battle cry, discover. It's like, alright, cool. For those of you who are playing along and wanting to have a card that also helps along with your warrior quest, ding 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 ding, this is one of the things you can use alongside I Know a Guy to be able to help you keep getting valuable assetted taunt creatures. Plus, if anything, it's a 3-cost. And if we're looking to stomp them aggro pirates out of the meta, drop it, give me another taunt. If you want to give me Goldshire Footman, Sure, I can play Gold Shard Footman next turn and whatever else. If you want to give me something huge, go right ahead. Bulb.
Yeah, this is going to be a must play in Taunt Warrior, just because of that battle cry. It of course is making Silverback Patriarch obsolete, but then again, nobody really wanted to play Silverback Patriarch.
Silverback Patriarch has been practically obsolete since fucking beta.
That's why I said practically nobody wanted to play Silverback Patriarch, because in all other regards, Ironfur Grizzly was just better. But this is pretty much going to be the 3-cost taunt to play in Taunt Warrior. It's a really good card. It's a really exciting taunt minion, not just because it has taunt, but mainly because it gives you another taunt minion. You can discover a taunt minion that you can basically set up for whenever you need it. So I'm very excited. This is a really good card, and it's going to see a lot of play. Next up, we have Ornery Direhorn, which is a 6-cost 5/5 warrior beast with taunt and battlecry adapt. Well, this is kind of cool. It could see play, but I think when you start getting to the 6-cost slot and above, Eddie, is kind of when you want to be a little bit more picky, because you start wondering how many high-end taunts can you really play. And I'm thinking if I am going to be playing Taunt Warrior, I might want to play Sunwalker more than Ornery Direhorn, just because of that Divine Shield. And that Divine Shield does a lot. Sure, Ornery Direhorn could give itself Divine Shield, but there's a lot of other things it could give itself. It could see play. I think it might see play. I'm not sure whether I want to play it. It's an interesting card, but again, we're getting into the slots where you start really holding back and really figuring out what you want to play at this point. And I'm not sure whether I'd want to play an Ornery Direhorn or just play something like 2 Sunwalkers and a Hogger.
Depends on what you really want to do. I mean, realistically, I can see this being a one-of or a one-off, just to see if maybe it actually works and functions with your deck. But on a more realistic note, I don't think this sees play.
I don't think either. I think there are much better taunt minions in its slot.
Oh yeah. And once again, we have the, if you're playing along at home, basically, you know, how many keywords can we cram onto one card? 3 with this one, and these being 3 different ones, again, but, yeah. So we good with the Ornery Direhorn?
Yes.
Stubborn Gastropod. 2-cost, 1/2, beast, taunt, poisonous. Alright. I'll take the new change my hunter hero power to give a random beast +2/+2, and then throw that bad boy out there to be able to have a 3/4 taunt poisonous. Otherwise, now, I could also go with the ideal of stolen goods to be able to make it to where that thing becomes a 4/5 for 2. But again, Bald, sell me on it.
I don't know. I've been thinking about this. This might be a really solid 2-cost taunt minion for Taunt Warrior. I know we talked about we talked about the what was it, the Cornered Explorer, whatever it was, or Cornered Sentry. But this is pretty solid because it's pretty much guaranteed to kill whatever runs into it. Now, it might not be a good one to drop on curve on 2, but it might be a good one to drop on later on in the game when they have those big minions. It can take them down. It's great. So in that regard, it kind of does what you want a taunt minion to do, and it just kills the thing off. It's great. It protects your face, and it kills these big things. So I think it does have a place. I don't think it's as bad as you think it is, mainly because of the poisonous modifier. It's not built to stay around for multiple turns. I'm not sure if I want this to be dropped on 2, but I think dropping it on a later turn could be a lot more valuable. So yeah, I kind of like it. Whether it will make the final cut for Taunt Warrior remains to be seen, because I kind of need to figure out what I'm doing when I'm building it. Did I sell you?
I'm still not sold on it. I'm really not. But
that's okay. You're talking to a guy who loves Goldshire Footman.
Yeah, I know that, and that's why I'm not exactly sold on it.
Yeah, but Goldshire Footman isn't poisonous.
You do have a fair bargain there. And if anything, like I said, we'll see if anything where the meta kind of shapes out. Because, like I said, with the Gastropod and making my hero power +2/+2 in Hunter, this can make me actually give it the respect it deserves.
Well, next up we have Primordial Drake, which is an 8-cost 4/8 dragon with taunt, and the battle cry, deal 2 damage to all other minions. Well, guys, you got a dragon. They never said there wouldn't be dragons. They just said that it wouldn't be like the golden age of the dragon drops from Blackrock Mountain and the Grand Tournament. And I never expected it. We got our dragon sets, and we're moving on. Is this enough to keep dragon decks alive? No, it's not. Sorry, it's not. Even in Wild, I would not consider running this this dragon in my deck because there are a lot better choices for me. Potentially, I could see maybe picking it from Netherspite Historian if depending on what my needs are. But as far as running it in my own deck, nah, I really can't see it. And I don't think there's enough to kind of revive or keep Dragon Priest going. I think they'll make an effort. I think there'll be a few Dragon Priest players who will make an effort to keep Dragon Priest going in Standard. But I think that deck is going to kind of fall by the wayside, and this is not a card to keep it going. And I just don't think for anything, whether it's taunt or whatever, it's just not worth it. No, I don't think. I don't plan on playing any decks. I have no interest in it, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of Primordial Drake in the meta.
Agreed. If anything, I take a look at it, and I go, you got a good size health bar there. So, like, maybe you plus a divine spirit or whatever to be able to just increase your health to make it to where you're incredibly hard to get through in the late game, where you're exactly not as threatening. I mean, like, take a look at Twilight Drake. For, like, half this thing's cost. And, of course, has 1 health and depends on the size and the hand that you have for its full health. This thing, while being able to also do 2 damage to all their minions, okay, fine. That's whatever. But just no. Like, even if it were one of my choices in Netherspite Historian, no, I'm not picking this. I would rather pick the Twilight Dragon, or something like Scaled Nightmare, for that matter. Just no. Like, Primordial Drake is just no for me.
And you're talking about the late game. By the time you're summoning this, you're summoning it in the late game. And by that point, that 2 damage to all of the minions doesn't mean as much as it did earlier.
Pretty fucking moot.
Yeah, and if nothing else, you're hurting your own side here. It's not really going to help you here. You have much better options. At this point in a dragon deck, you want to be dropping those big dragons, and this just doesn't take the cake here.
It doesn't. I'm putting it in the bad/dust area.
Yeah. Like I said, even in Wild, where I think that this is, guys, if you're playing Dragon Priest, just let your deck move to Wild and go play it there.
Yeah.
I always let highly favorable decks of mine retire to Wild, and they can play in those new Sunshine Pastures, because I like playing in Wild. I like playing Wild, and I like playing in Standard, and you know what? I'm not going to complain about my decks rotating out, because I will still play them. But if I got a choice of this, depending on it, it might be a good choice. But most of the time, I think if I want a taunt dragon that does damage, I don't want a Primordial Drake. I want a Chillmaw.
Oh yeah.
So even in Wild, there are much better answers than Primordial Drake. So yeah, I'm sorry guys. I don't think this is the savior of the Dragon decks.
Maybe next set.
I think there'll be people who will continue to work on their Dragon decks. Continue to try to keep them viable, but their glory days are gone. And guys, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
I think I think the people who are going to continue to try to make it work might consider Primordial Drake, but again, there already are a lot of 8-cost dragons, and in that sense, just focus on your legendaries.
Yeah. So, if anything, we can move to Sated Threshadon. 7 cost, 5/7 neutral, with the Death Rattle, summon 3 1/1 Murlocs. It is a beast. And I'm honestly trying to figure out, like, okay, it's a 7 cost. I understand where Blizzard comes from for wanting to have people kind of explore and discover new ways to be able to actually play Hearthstone and actually, like, stuff from, like, the tool shed and whatnot, to be able to just think more outside the box. Murlocs are a specific tribe. This is a beast that, when it dies, it summons the Murlocs. If anything, like, personally, if this thing were a Murloc, I think it'd be something to where you kind of look at it and you go, that's pretty nifty. Especially if I'm playing it with, like, my Finja water package, to where I could potentially draw this out and have this huge threat on board and make it to where my opponent has to choose. Do I kill this, or do I kill, like, this sated Threshadon? But because it's a beast, I'm not sold on it. I look at this, I see it as filler, and I see it as just bad. If anything, Bulb, can you sell me on this?
Curator. I think the only way this card is going to get played is in a Curator deck. Mainly, I think Curator decks now are going to have to focus mainly on Beasts and Murlocs, because Dragons aren't going to do it anymore, guys.
Yeah, the biggest dragon that they needed is kind of going bye-bye.
Yeah, the one they kind of focused on, which was Azure Drake, is rotating out. So unless you are putting in maybe a couple of in-game threats, which is not going to be the Drake because you're running Murlocs, you might run a couple of the Legendary Dragons. Like, I'd say those would be your high-end stuff that Curator just puts in your hand.
Yeah,
say the Threshadon maybe to help with your Murlocs. So basically, you're focused on Beasts to help with the Murlocs, and you're focusing on some faster Murlocs. You're not putting in a lot of Murlocs. You're having the Murlocs that kind of feed off each other. I think this is the only way Say the Threshadon really works. I think in a Murloc deck, you want to cut down the non-Murloc minions. It's okay if that minion directly helps your Murlocs, but other than that, you want to mainly focus on having a lot of Murlocs. And Say the Threshadon, I don't think fits that bill. It's not a gentle Megasaur. And in that regards, I don't think Say the Threshadon fits in a Murloc tribal deck. Its Death Rattle isn't enough. I think really where it's going to find its place is going to be in a Curator deck, because I don't think even Death Rattle will want it, because Death Rattle is not going to care about the Murlocs. Death Rattle wants something a lot more board affecting for them than summoning 3 Murlocs on the board. You know, they want something a lot more in your face. So I think the only saving grace is going to be in Curator decks. I think Curator decks have started to find more of their foothold, I think, and we might actually see a little more of them, you know, poking up here and there. And I think this is where Sated Threshadon will thrive. Anywhere else, it's a card that you shouldn't even consider.
Also, if anything, Bulb, I just want to mention, because you mentioned Curator, that I hate you, because you decided to kind of, from the previous discussion with Dragon Priest, decided to throw a popper idea into my head for, like, this menagerie priest. I know it sounds incredibly stupid. We'll talk about it at length off camera, but
if you can make that work, I will applaud you, dear sir.
I have ideas, but
you're giving me some interesting ideas too. I'm not going to follow up on them, but I think I'm seeing where you might be going with this.
Yeah, Tarlord calls to me because he is a 7 cost.
Hey,
warrior.
Hey, stop it.
What?
It's my turn.
Right.
You talked about the Threshadon. Back off. I have mace.
My good sir.
I have Dragon Mace. It reaches a long way.
My bad, my good sir.
It burns. Okay, Tarlord is a 7 cost, 1 elemental, 111 warrior elemental with taunt that has +4 attack during your opponent's turn. It's a Tar Creeper on steroids. I love it. I love it. It costs a lot. I know I'm going to be running one of them. I'll debate whether I'll run two of them because, man, it's just so beefy and good. I love this thing. This is a great card. Taunt Warrior will definitely be running this. I will definitely be running this. This is a big, strong, beefy Taunt minion, which you kind of like, which you kind of want. And I like this tar, this type of tar idea. They use it in Tar Creeper, they use it in Tar Lord. I think they use it in one more card. It's a really cool idea, and I really like it. It makes sense, which makes it a purely defensive card, and it's a lovely card. Eddie?
Yeah. The summoning animation for the tar cards are pretty legit. If anything, first of all, well played to Blizzard for actually making sure that this stayed Warrior exclusive. Because this versus Bog Creeper in that 7-cost slot. Oh, man. And, like I said, if anything, with Tar Lord, just on my opponent's turn, it has +4 attack, making it a 5/11. You know what? I'm just going to say F it. And if I can get the grimy goon stuff to work more consistently, Taunt Warrior, or, basically like Wall Warrior at this point, just gets to be so dangerous and nasty.
And I know I talked about, when you get into the higher cost slots, you really probably going to be focusing more on one-ofs. You don't want to run a whole lot of duplicates. Taunt Lord, I think, is good enough. You might want to consider running a duplicate. I'm not sure where I would fall there yet, because I'll have to build the deck. But if any high-cost minion, Taunt minion will demand a duplicate, it might be Taunt Lord.
Oh, yeah. And if anything, it also gets rid of that 7-cost that generated the taunts.
Yeah.
7-cost, 7/7 that generated the
we've
taunts.
We've lost the Obsidian Sentinel.
Yeah. If anything, that thing was garbage anyway. But
hey, it was nice.
Stampede. If we're going to be talking about stuff that's nice, Stampede, being a 1-cost hunter epic, each time you play a beast this turn, you add a random beast to your hand. That, my friend, is nice. And like I said, it goes along with what I've been saying. Hunter has been hit with just this buff dart, and it's just oh my god, I'm gonna gush about Hunter again, but not really, because this is just so good. Include a one-of it, start it off, and then, especially if you're going to do the Huron quest, or not the Huron quest, but the Marsh Queen quest. Stampede with this quest, and then just start dropping beast on board, and you just refill your hand again, and just almost never-ending value. So you can run, one definitively, because, hey, you want that just to be able to pull. 2, if you don't want to run the new Hammock combo with it. And even then, just Stampede. It's too good. Bulb, go.
Oh my word, this card is incredible. Like I said, I had some ideas. I was theory crafting, because pretty much I was going to discontinue my Wild Beast Hunter, which is pretty decent, and essentially spin off some ideas from that particular deck into two different decks. A Wild Hunter deck, which I was going to call Web Hunter, and a Standard Hunter deck, which was going to be Raptor Hunter. Both had different focuses, and Web Hunter was going to focus more on the effects, such as the one Web Spinner gave, which was essentially giving me random beasts. I know random ends up being such a dirty word, but what's really interesting is that this gives you all sorts of different answers. It ensures that you're going to have cards in hand, even if you go almost into top deck range, that you're essentially going to be able to refill the hand and be able to continue to play Beast and get those synergies off. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to go back to basics with my Hunter deck and going, you know what, my favorite part about this Hunter deck are the Web Spinner effects. So I want to focus more on those effects. Now, there's some things I haven't done that I can do. And so I was just going to do it with the cards that are available. And I figured it was going to be good. And then they're dropping this stuff on me. They're dropping a new pair that essentially does what Web Spinner does, and then Stampede, which pretty much goes, you know what, go nuts. I love this card. This is a great card. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be playing this card in Standard, but definitely in Wild, doing what I want to do in Web Hunter will be great. It'll be incredible. And trust me, some of the random beasts you can get are just phenomenal. And I can't wait to play around this card. I'm not going to run one of these cards. I'm running two of them. Maybe I'll run a one-off in Raptor Hunter. I need to see what my deck list will look like. I'm not sure if I even want to run Stampede there, just to focus on that one. But definitely in Wild, I'm going to be running two of these cards. This is going to be great. I'm going to have so much fun.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think we do get to keep Infest, right?
No, Infest... yeah, we are keeping Infest. Infest is still going to be in Standard.
So, I mean, if anything, like, you've got this just... With Hunter at this point, you have the ability to just be able to just generate an infinite hand of beasts. So, if anything, just next card. I don't want to stick around and be able to do this.
So next up we have Charged Devilsaur, which is an 8-cost 7/7 beast with charge and the battle cry. It can't attack heroes this turn. Okay. It has charge. It goes Nom. That's fine. This is kind of where Blizzard is starting to take more of the charge. They don't like these OTK ideas. Although by this point, it's like 8 mana, so I'm not sure how big a deal that is, but fine, whatever. Realistically, I don't see this thing play. If you wanted a big dinosaur with charge, number one, the only one who's really going to care about this at this point is probably nobody besides Hunter or maybe Druid is going to want a beast. With Druid, this might not be bad, but I think Druid might have other concerns. I think maybe if anybody plays this, maybe Druid plays this. I'm not sure they will though. But for Hunter, Hunter is not going to play this, Eddie, because if Hunter wanted a big freaking dino with charge, they would wait one more turn, and then they would play King Crush. And he can go face. So, Hunter's not playing this. I think the only class that might play this would be Druid. And I'm not sure if they will or not. So...
maybe for Beast Druid. But I mean, I'll be the guy who at least tries to level the field and on the TBH side of things. With the quest card that they have that we're getting ready to discuss, maybe I say definitively as a maybe because of some of the things we'll discuss in just a moment. But as far as charged Devilsaur goes, can't attack heroes the turn it's summoned. Next turn, you can go whole hog to face after that. If anything, if you start doing charge minions like this, bravo to you, Team 5, for from here on, especially after the pirate package fiasco and fucking patches, you've found a way to be able to balance charge. Yay!
Well, here's the thing. Charge on a legendary, you can let them be just, they can
Yeah.
face.
Like, King Crush, he's fine, because he's high cost, and it takes a while to be able to, you know, kind of hammer home.
And he's a legendary, so there's only one of them.
Yeah, there's only one of them. This, you can run two of, and
if you're insane, yes.
If you're insane, yes. Or get it from random because of Stampede. This, being able to, like, go 7 face, I could find ways to be able to just, with, like, hand buff and, like, Don Honcho and stuff like that, to just make it to where it'd be my game finisher. And we've already got enough of that running around. But, so I can really kind of give charged Devilsaur a minor and better argument. I want to move on to Jungle Giants, which is the Druid quest. The quest is you summon 5 minions with 5 attack or more, and you get the reward of
Barnabas.
Okay, Barnabas. Thank you for that. I wanted to make sure I got it predicted right, but Bob fixed it for me. Your reward for playing Barnabas the Stomper is you get a 5-cost 8/8 battle cry. Reduce the cost of minions in your deck to 0. And of course, Barnabas is a beast. Alright. So, first off, you've got to be able to play 5 minions with 5 or more attack. We've got support to be able to start getting into that with the Jungle Giants. And then you have the ability to be able to start spitting out creatures for nothing. So, Big Booty Druid is going to be played because it's, let's take all of these big ass minions that cost a lot, and now they cost 0. Play them for free. Sweet! To kind of flip back to charge Devilsaur, I've got this in hand. Charge Devilsaur. Menagerie Warden. I now have 2 7/7 charge. Yes, I cannot attack the hero this turn, but I have 2 7/7 charge creatures. Bop, punch. Be able to potentially knock some stuff off my opponent's board, and then set up lethal for next turn. Because you're staring down 2 creatures you might not be able to get rid of, as well as the Menagerie Warden. And then if I want to, I can beef those bastards up with some of the spells and some of the other synergies that Beast Druid can provide. As far as Jungle Giants goes, as a whole, it is a playable quest. The reward is bananas. The biggest difficulty that I have with is, like, how am I going to be able to perfectly balance it? Am I going to... Because, like I said, we've still got the early game cards that we'll talk about here in probably like just a minute that will help with the Jungle Giants quest. So do I try to bog it down with the early game to be able to kind of make sure I get this quest done quickly, then do something like hem it, and then go into playing the quest reward to then just start playing all my stuff for free? Or do I complete the quest and then play something like Yasarge and then just start watching my minions pop slowly but surely from the deck? Especially that new Druid Legendary that originally I called garbage, which I regret calling garbage, especially if I can Menagerie, or if I can hit it with the Warden and be able to make 2 copies of it and make you have to figure out how the hell you're going to get rid of it. Bulb.
Well, first of all, remember, Barnabas only says that it discounts the minions in your deck. If there are still minions sitting in your hand when you play Barnabas, they still cost mana. This is a very strong quest. If any class can pull it off, it's going to be Druid. And I'm not sure, again, you play Hemet in this deck. I don't know. It just depends on what you try to do here. I think Druid's identity is more likely they'll go more with the ramp direction, with maybe playing a few early game minions that have the higher attack, but mainly they'll ramp so that it's just pretty strong in the first place, and they can get the quest out and get bigger things out, and then just go full hog before their opponents are ready. I was mourning the loss of Aviana, and really, there's no need, because we have Jungle Giants. So there's all sorts of different... Because of this, there are all sorts of different directions you can actually go with this. It'll be interesting to see, because I think that there'll be multiple variations of Jungle Giants, and it just depends, I think, on what... I think it just depends on what players want to do with it. We might very well see a new version of... It won't be Aviana Kun, but, you know, a new version of maybe a Malygos OTK, or just all sorts of different... There are all sorts of different possibilities that this opens up, depending on what minions you are packing into this deck. Will somebody try an Ancient One's Jungle Giants deck? Ancient One Jungle Giants deck. There's so many different possibilities here. So there's a lot of fertile ground. It's not just as straightforward as some of the other decks of having, we have this objective and we're going about it in roughly the same way. There are variations of these decks, but roughly we're doing the same thing. I think Jungle Giants, even more so than something like the Caverns Below, Jungle Giants encourages experimentation, and there are a lot of different ways you can pull off this quest, and you can build your deck. And I think that's what's so interesting about it, and that Druid as a class can do this. Getting off of last year where we had 2 expansions that essentially gave Druid decks that kind of locked them into to those decks looking essentially the same. Both expansions from last year, Cthulhu Druid and Jade Druid. Both of those, you looked at the cards from the expansion, you knew exactly what was in there. There's some room for variation, but very little. Pretty much all decks of those archetypes look largely the same. We're starting off the new year, and they give Druid a quest, and pretty much it's so open-ended that it's up to you to figure out exactly what you want in the deck. For the first time ever in an expansion, for a year, Druid is getting absolute freedom in a overarching archetype with this quest, and that is kind of exciting in and of itself. I don't think I think it's about in the middle where quests go. We might rank the quests if we have time at the very end. I don't think we will, but that's kind of exciting to me. I think that means that we're going to see all sorts of different types of decks, and I don't think it's just going to be, it's a Jungle Giants deck. I think there's going to be multiple different types of archetypes rising out of this one quest that are going to be playing this quest, and that's kind of interesting.
Magma Rager might actually be useful.
I know, right? Next up, we have Binding Heal, which is a 1-cost priest spell that restores 5 health to a minion and to your hero. This is kind of cool. It's a very cheap heal. You can heal a minion for a lot, and then you get healed as well. That versatility is great because a lot of times you're going, do I heal my minion or do I heal myself? That could if it's a very strong minion that you want to keep alive, but you're low on health. That's a very tough decision to make, especially in Priest. This card essentially says, hey, you don't have to worry about it. I'll do both for you. And it's so cheap. It costs 1 mana, which means that you can play this and do a whole bunch of other things. So this is a really cool card for Priest. I'm not sure whether we'll see play. That is the question, isn't it? Flash Heal saw some play, so Binding Heal might see some play, but I guess it just depends on what Priest decks want to use. Priest right now has access to all sorts of healing effects, so I don't know. I don't know whether Priest will want to run this, or whether they'll want to run, some control options. It is a good option, I think, that if Priest wants to go long term, that Binding Heal may be a very good option for them. Just not only for their minions, but for themselves, if they're looking for pure heals. Just outside of the hero power, I'm just not sure if Priest really does that a lot these days.
Alright, if anything, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Instead of saying, like what you basically just said, it really depends on what Priest wants to do. Because currently there's a strong pull to kind of pull it in the direction of going with N'Zoth and making that, Awaken the Maker's quest. There's also this ideal from the stuff that we've gotten from Mean Streets, to where we could potentially start to kind of pull Priest back to its actual roots of being this mean control deck. So we take something like Binding Heal, and we go, I'm going to play Injured Blade Master, and then heal my Injured Blade Master and me. So, right now, I put it in the, like, this is a very good card for Priest, but I put it in my unknown file because of not exactly knowing where Priest will shape itself out in the metagame. Like, like I said, there's the strong pull towards N'Zoth, but from the stuff that we had in the past, there's also that idea. And plus, there's some tools from this set that give you access to both. So it's one of those... Priest now has this ability to be able to evolve, to be even more. And hell, if anything, if they want to, you can bring back Cthulhu Priest. So there's that too. But are we good on Binding Heal?
We are.
Elder Longneck. 3 cost. Druid. Exclusive battle cry. If you're holding a minion with 5 or more attack, adapt. It's a beast. It's one of the things you're probably going to play with your Jungle Giants quest. It's also an idea that you may throw in with Beast Druid to be able to potentially make it a thing. It's adapt, depending on what you want to do with your adapt. It may turn out to be a Rager. I don't know. I mean, like, Elder Longneck. It's cheap, it's efficient, it helps with the Jungle Giants quest. That's one of the best places I can see it having a home. As far as actual Beast Druid, I'm not 1,000,000% sure, but I'm pretty sure Bulb will sell me on it. So Bulb, sell me on it.
Well, Beast Druid's lost a lot of stuff. I'm not sure what a Beast Druid deck would look like. I think almost Beast Druid would have to run in a giant Jungle Giants deck anymore because they've lost a lot of the cards I would suggest. And a lot of those cards that they will want to run are going to be 5 or more. But yeah, I think this really would find a home more in a deck that is running the Jungle Giants quest. Because they're already running so many of those minions that have a high attack. So it will get the adapt off. But that's about it. That's its only use. You basically need to be running big minions. And big minions, that means that you're running Ramp Druid. And if you're running Ramp Druid, probably that means you are going to be running Jungle Giants. And it doesn't matter that Jungle Giants is a 1-cost quest because, hey, you're Ramp Druid. You're running slow anyway. You're going to be ramping your mana up. Will they be interested in playing Longneck over something like just ramping their mana up more? I don't know. It just depends on what they have available. If nothing else, Elder Longneck helps to actually contest the board because that adapt is going to give it a lot of power. So it could allow them to contest the board a little bit while they're ramping up and getting Jungle Giants ready and getting ready to go bananas. So, yeah, you're pretty much right. I'm not sure what Beast Druid would even look like now. For all we know, Beast Druid just might look very similar to Jungle Giants if it's distinguishable at all.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. It's going to be ran in a Ramp Druid-esque deck with Jungle Giants. And that's all we have for this edition, so stay tuned. There's a lot more cards that we have to talk about. And some very interesting ones still to come. We still have one more quest, which we're going to be covering next time, and that's going to be exciting. So until then, guys,